Alright, so here's the bottom of the differential. Here's the bell. Right. So right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put in these inserts here for the differential, so that way it's that when you mount the differential, that way it helps the shifting basically. Because when you're cornering hard, what happens is because the transmission, the shifter is mounted directly on the transmission, and the transmission is obviously mounted on the engine and the whole drive and everything, right? And the whole entire drivetrain is actually mounted on rubber bushings. So if you look up in here, up in this part right here where my fingers are, the tip of my fingers, it's the rubber bushings. So as they corner hard, the whole engine and transmission, the whole drivetrain basically kind of moves around, wiggles around separate from the actual chassis itself. So where you're sitting and where your shifter is, if you're cornering hard, the shifter position will actually shift into it will actually move versus just going in a straight line or being parking with it, not moving. So where, let's say for example, you're shifting from second to third, and you're just going in a straight line and not cornering, it's always in the same spot. Or when you're parking, it's always in the same spot from second to third. But when you're cornering hard and you're going from second to third, the whole shifter has actually moved a little bit. So what was where you normally shift into third is actually not in that same spot anymore. So you will basically you'll miss shift, or you won't be able to find the gear. So that's so what these bushings do is they help reduce that movement basically of the bushing. So they basically stiffen up the bushing a little bit. So how it goes is it's an insert, right? And if you look at your rubber bushing, there's little voids. So these little things that come down here, those will insert into those voids. Because the rubber bushing is not solid, right? Because if it's solid, it wouldn't move much. So they made it so that way it moves more. So these things take up that void, so that way it kind of makes it solid basically. But it's not completely solid, obviously, because it's two separate pieces. So it's a little bit less stiff than a completely solid bushing, but still should be stiffer than than having all those voids. Okay. So what you need to do is where the bell housing is, and you can see the bushing. Actually, the bolt end of the bushing is over where the light is shining right there. You see the little nut on the side right here. Where my finger is, right in here. Right there where my finger is. So that's the nut. So the bolt comes from the outside. So this is a 17 millimeter, and it's kind of difficult to get to. You just have a regular wrench, you might not be able to get to it. So this is what I use. And actually I bought this a few weeks ago. I wasn't ever sure if I was ever going to use this thing, but I did. And this thing is like a godsend almost. It's less than $20 on Amazon. The brand is Tecon. Right there. So anyways, from the outside, I basically made it like so. I made it like like that, and it was able to reach. So let's actually just move this over here, so you can actually kind of see how the handle comes down. So basically it was like this. So this was a normal, this was a normal socket wrench. It wouldn't be long enough. If you look at this thing, it's very long, right? Let's look at a normal socket wrench. So here's my normal 3/8 drive. So look at that length difference. And also this flex head helps. So it gave me the leverage, because if you have a normal 3/8 drive, you wouldn't have enough leverage because it's not long enough. So this thing was long enough, but also the other thing that this wrench did, it actually helps me get the bolts on top. So that's the bolt on the side, where the mount is up there. The mount is right there where my finger is. Then as you look above the housing, all the way up here, follow along where the differential support is right here. So the bell is mounted onto this support right here. So on top of the support on both sides here, on the top here, there's also 4 nuts. And those 4 nuts are also held together by 17 millimeter as well. So I have to get this right here in through from this part here. So if you have a stock muffler, your stock muffler will probably be in the way. You might have to, you know, move the muffler out of the way, but I don't. So I was able to do this and get this in like so, and get into the bolt. Right. Again, this wrench was a godsend, and basically this is the position that I had it in. It was like that, and this is exactly what this wrench was made for. Because where the bolt was it was higher. Is the nut, it was higher. It was higher elevated, and where my handle is, it's lower. So you know, basically I have to get access to it. Right. But before I actually even did that, I actually lowered the bell housing. So let's look at that. So the bell housing here, there's no more space here. Normally there's like, you know, over half an inch of space here, but I actually lowered it, and you can actually see up where the mount is up there. I actually see that it's actually not centered with the rubber bushing anymore. It's not centered anymore because it's actually lowered. I used a jack right here. So you could normally people usually when they use a jack or you know, some type of jack, they jack it from the bell housing. I didn't want to do that because it sort of took up space, and I didn't have space to work. So basically I used in front of the bell housing where the mounting bolt is. You know, this is the transmission tunnel right here, or not the transmission tunnel, but the what do they call this thing? This thing is the support that connects the transmission to the drive, the transmission to the differential. You know, right in underneath this is the drive shaft. So I jacked it up from there, or I shouldn't say I jacked it up. I lowered it from there. So I used this scissor jack, motorcycle scissor jack that I got for my motorcycles. But you don't need to, you don't need to have this. You could just use a regular jack, and if your jack can't reach here, or it's not the jack, like a regular jack for a car, is that little space up here is real small. If the space is too small, you put it like a block of wood, then jack it up. So that will work too. But in this case, I have this thing. So I lowered it down, pretty much as low as it could go until it just about touched up right here, just about touched, and then I gave it just a little bit of support from that. So from there, I was able to get those top bolts loose from up on top. So let's go back to that position again. So I actually haven't even taken the bolts off yet. I loosened them already, but I haven't taken them off yet. Let's see if I can take them off with the camera there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be in the way. So I loosened them, all 4 of them already. So let's take those off. So it's four nuts, right? Also remember 17 millimeters, right? It's 1. So I didn't loosen the 2 side bolts here on camera because the camera was in my way, and I just couldn't get to the proper body position to get proper, to get enough leverage to loosen those bolts. Actually, even the bolts up here, I couldn't get the proper body position with the camera in the way. So I loosened them all up first. So that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing, after the fact that I've loosened them. So I mean, you could do this with floor jacks and crawl under the car, but man, it's gonna be hard because when you're laying underneath the car, you're kind of in an awkward position, and you don't have a proper a holding position, proper body position where you get leverage. So good thing for me is I have a car pit, I should say. So okay, so now all 4 bolts on top, or excuse me, 4 nuts on top is loosened. The 2 bolts on the sides are loosened. Let's see how I could take this thing off. Actually, I don't really need to take it all the way off. I just need to get it out enough, that way I could get the plugs in for the differential inserts. Okay, so that's enough. So basically, I lifted up the support off of the bolts on top here, the 4 bolts, and now I basically, if you look up in there, you see that I have free space now. Now I can put my my differential plugs in. So these are the differential plugs that I showed you earlier. And there's actually 2 sides, okay? If you look on the side here, on the side, it says if there's a part A and a part B, so they look identical, but they're not. They are actually slightly different in dimensions, even though they look identical. You put them together like this, and you size them together, they're actually different. The part B seems like it's a little bit bigger than the part A. So the part A goes on the outside, and the part B goes on the inside. So the part B is facing towards the belt housing, and the part A is facing towards the wheel. So let's put it in this part A here. Well, excuse me, part B here. And see. So hopefully I have enough space in there. Need to figure out where the orientation of where the plug goes. Oh shit. Let's see. So it looks like it is. So it looks to me like, again, let's look at the shape here. There's a small one and the big one. It looks like the small one's on top. So basically it's facing, the small one is this with these two little horns, if you will. They're facing up. Yeah, it looks like they're facing up. Can't see what I'm doing. Damn camera's in my way again. Oh, jeez. Ow. That hurt. Okay. Jeez, oh man, that's in my eye. It's a good idea to have some safety glasses so it helps keep the dust out of your eyes. Let's see. A little bit. Let's see if that's enough clearance. Oh, yeah. Just a little. There it goes. There it goes. Oof. Kind of hard to get in there. So do the same thing with the outside. Okay, so both sides are in on the passenger side. Now we need to get the driver side. Again, the one with part B is on the inside. The one that says A is on the outside. Jeez, oh man, can't see. Just awkward, especially with the camera on my way. I can't, I like to stand where the camera is. But since I can't stand right there. Okay, oh, this side's a little bit easier. A little bit more clearance on that side. So you did this at a shop, and especially if they did it before, it probably only takes them about an hour of labor at the shop. I was gonna do it at a shop, but I wasn't sure what exactly I needed to do. But I finally got underneath here and looked at it and see, and eyeballed it, and I'm like, oh, it should be pretty easy. I was really hesitant at first. I was gonna have a shop do this, but after I eyeballed it, I thought that that I had the tools, basically the tool and the clearance. That's the main thing really when you do stuff. It's all a matter of having the proper tools. If you have the proper tools, it's not hard at all. It's pretty easy. Okay, so now both sides are in. I basically lowered the support back onto the bell housing, onto the 4 bolts up here. So now it's all lined up, and now we just need to lift the jack back up. you have to jack up so that way I could line up the bolts with the line up the bolts here. These bolts here with where the inserts are, and these bolts slide through where the insert is. But before I do that, let's put in the 4 nuts up on top. I actually have to tighten these ones down. And these are 17 millimeters. Looking at the size of the nuts, the thread size, they look like the same size as they look almost the same size as lug nuts. Maybe finer pitch. That might be fine pitch versus lug nuts being a little bit coarser. So they're almost the same size as lug nuts, I think. So actually no, they're a little bit smaller than lug nuts. Yeah, they're a little bit smaller than lug nuts. So lug nuts are usually what, 80, at least 80 foot-pounds. So these ones here, I would guess that these are no, actually they are the same as the lug nut. It's just a finer thread. The lug nut is a coarser thread. So I would guess that these are probably about 80 foot-pounds as well, and they were pretty hard to take off. When I was taking them off, they were it required a lot of effort. Again, it was like my body positioning. I needed the proper body position. Otherwise, I wasn't able to get the leverage that I needed. My body was in an awkward place. So yeah, so if you do crawl underneath here and your face is right up above here, put on some safety glasses because all that dust and dirt it'll get in your eye. It sort of got into my eye almost, but I'm not right above it. I mean, I'm not right below it. I'm actually below to the side. And since I'm in the carpet, I could be inside the carpet, being in the pit. I could move around better than if I was laying underneath. Alright, so those 4 bolts are in. I just need to tighten those. Once I'm tightening those, I could jack the bell housing back up and slide my my bolt back through here, but obviously from the outside in. And yeah, so torque wise, I would probably say about 80 foot-pounds, and I would say minimum of 60 foot-pounds. Actually, I think these ones actually are smaller than the lug nuts. I was just measuring, I was putting up this bolt against the lug nut, and the diameter is actually a little smaller. So I would probably say these ones are probably 60 foot-pounds. And I don't have my internet's down, and I have a power outage right now since last night. PG&E turning out the power for, they say it's gonna be like 3 days or some shit like that, because I live up in the mountains and it's windy, so they turn off the power because they don't want to have a fire again, like over the summer the whole neighborhood or the whole mountain burned down. So they turned the power off. So I don't have the internet access right now, so I can't go online and look at the spec and see how much torque these are. But if I were to guess, I would say this one's probably about 60 foot-pounds. Probably true with the top ones too. The top ones are probably also 60 foot-pounds. If I was just to guess off the top of my head, 60, maybe 65 foot-pounds. Probably no more than 70, I don't think. Okay, so those are on. And we're in there. So we're running on 20 minutes. Let me stop this and maybe, yeah, you know what? I'll do a part 2 and I will actually get my wrench in there and tighten it down. But I have to reposition the camera because it's right in my way. All right, stay tuned for part 2.